Hello, everyone, and welcome to a solo transmission of the Liberate Yourself podcast. It's been a while since I did a check-in with just me, and I found myself with a break in between scheduled interviews, so I figured what better time. And I thought I would go over a couple of things that I've been contemplating lately and give you a little bit of insight into my vision for the podcast going forward and where I see it headed. I wanted to bring up the topic of what I call cosmic collaboration. We are all creators, whether you consider yourself one or not. We create our reality, our daily lives, our relationships, and many of us produce artistic work for others to enjoy as well. I mean, this podcast wouldn't even be possible without the collaboration of my benevolent guests. I'm so blessed in that I seem to magnetize and find the most interesting and genuinely kind-hearted people in the world. And luckily, they want to engage in the same kind of exploratory and metaphysical conversations as I do. So it's a win-win. But yeah, creation is a sacred art. It's the basis for our entire existence, constantly unfolding on itself and expanding outward. And this expansion is made possible when we come together in relationship with others that are vibrating at the same frequency that we do, so to speak. It's a given that we will find each other, and in these times it's so exciting that we have multiple ways of connecting through technology and the online sphere. I wanted to remind you to reach out and connect to people that are inspiring you on your own path of unfolding and on your own path of personal sovereignty. There's no reason not to, really. Creation doesn't happen in a solo vacuum as much as some of us would like to think it does. I'm not saying you have to collaborate on your final work per se, but there is a lot to be said about the momentum gained through fellowship and camaraderie with like minds when we're in the creative process. It fuels our spirit and spurns us forward to do our best work as we sort of learn about the contrast and similarities that we have with each other. I know how it feels to be terrified of this, but once I started asking, the rest just kind of fell into place, and now the podcast is gaining its own momentum, and I'm beyond grateful for this. The guests I have on have been so brave and so vulnerable in their sharing that I feel like we've been doing this forever, in a manner of speaking. I really can't believe the project isn't even a year old yet, for one thing. But yeah, I feel like we've either known each other before, or that we're kind of remembering all of this. Anyway, it's been just the most benevolent experience, like I've said, and I'm just so grateful for all of the feedback I'm getting. And yeah, what I've learned so far through collaboration with others is this sense of purpose, with holding space and holding a platform for people who are on this path of self-mastery and spiritual inquiry, no matter where they are in their life or in the world. I'm learning we really are a global family, those of us that are dedicated to being sovereign and self-directing the course of our lives. You can find us all over the place, and it feels like we're long-lost brothers and sisters. We learn so much from each other, not as experts in our field of profession, but through our vulnerable sharing of our experiences, our modalities, and our beautiful ideas. So I wanted to share during this recent Aquarius new moon, it hit me deeply. It was right on my Venus in Aquarius, actually, which is the ruler of my chart, the way that I create, which is experimental and exploratory and going over beautiful ideas. So I got a deep sense of clarity that what this platform is about is sharing beautiful ideas we have for a new ways that society can function based on unity consciousness and the oneness that we inherently feel is the truth. We've spent too long in false separation, I feel, and I'm energized with each new guest hearing about how they feel that we are all truly one in this and how each of our individual work is benefiting the collective and each other. I realize that some people put more weight on the practical application of things, and the way that creation works, the practical application is actually the last step in the entire process. So my specialty is basically to discuss the ideals we have and to map out this new terrain through ideas and conversation, through the air element, essentially, the mental plane, before we start laying the cement foundation or the earth foundation, so to speak. That'll come later, and it is already happening, but I feel that my role is that beginning stage of, let's talk about where we're going. Let's talk about what's possible. Let's talk about, the beautiful ideas. Like I said, that was the phrase that came to me, is like, I'm helping to spread beautiful ideas and to help other people share their beautiful ideas. So it sounds really simple, but it's one of those truths that hit me really deeply. So I just wanted to share that. I started this podcast from great persistence of my higher self or source or guiding principle, whatever you want to call it. And at its heart, I want everyone having these experiences of waking up and finding themselves on an energetic vibrational level to know that they are not alone. You are not alone in this. And by having more and more different types of discussions around these metaphysical topics, you guys are reaching out and connecting and learning from one another, and it just warms my heart that I'm able to hold a space for you guys to hear each other and to connect with each other. I know this is the main reason I'm continuing this project, and that became clear to me recently as well, and it's my aim to continue with this as my highest purpose. It really flows through me. I don't claim it. I don't really claim any kind of ownership of it. And it's so much about my cosmic collaboration with the people who come forth as guests. It's incredible because lately I don't even need to go looking for new guests. They just appear on my path in various ways. I love it. Serendipity is really fun. So that is the main message of this transmission, is to take the first step. This is your, I don't like to use the word challenge, but maybe an intention you can make for yourself is to take that first step and reach out to someone else that is inspiring you. Have a Skype chat or email exchange and experiment with how this kind of connection can expand your own creation process. My sign-off tagline for years has been, we're in this together. I put it on my business cards. I signed off with my blog post and my current Instagram posts a lot. And I mean it now more than ever, because I see we're essentially seeding the structures of a new society, and we really are in this together. So another concept I've been contemplating heavily for a while, and I feel like kind of my entire life this has been in the background, but really coming to the forefront now because it's more relevant now than ever. It's how our economic and financial structure is going to change and is already changing. There's many different facets to this. I have visions pretty regularly, and the plot points or dots, so to speak, that keep coming to me, they haven't been fully connected yet, but it has to do with the idea of sourcing and resourcing. I know this is a vague way to describe it, but if you observe nature from a quiet place, it starts to unfold and reveal itself. If you look at the trees and the birds and the flowers and water bodies, they aren't forced to trade time for money in order to exist. I feel like this is something that has always been at the heart of my work and the way that I approach the world. I always wanted to sort of give freedom to people through entrepreneurship and being able to source their own materials through their creative process. The sheer fact that everything in nature just exists means that they are deserving of being there. They don't have to prove it, and they get what they need from each other, sourcing and resourcing as needed. So the bird, for example, the bird isn't worried that it's not going to have a place to live or food to eat. It just instinctually knows that it needs to source the materials to build a nest and source the food from the earth that will then be resourced back into the system. So, like I said, I'm not an economist and I have only a glimmer of understanding of how the financial system works. So don't take what I'm saying as any kind of authority. But in fact, maybe it's beneficial that I don't have a grasp of how things currently work because they are about to change drastically. We can see this happening with blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. I find very exciting, and how decentralization of institutions can level the playing field to give us more options and I feel natural and organic ways to receive and give with each other. On that note, I've been wanting to have a metaphysical conversation with someone who has a handle on blockchain technology. So if you're that person or you know someone, please let me know. I can sense the implications of this fundamentally changing how we think about work and life as we know it. And I would love to ask someone like tons of questions and pontificate about how this may show up for us. But from, kind of incorporating the energetic spiritual nature of it and how it is sort of mimicking consciousness and mimicking this, oneness energy that we find ourselves remembering. So those are a couple things that weave together that have been in my contemplations for months now. And like I said, most of my life, but they're really in the forefront right now. So the idea of cosmic collaboration in all things and how this can lead to us plugging in and creating as well as supporting each other from this place of oneness. So it would be remiss of me not to mention that this podcast has been supported through Patreon since its inception, because I could tell that the model of patronage is one of the many ways that we are currently able to support each other's work in this reciprocal way. And I believe in this concept of reciprocity of source and resource so much that I'm experimenting energetically by recirculating 20% or more of pledges from my patrons back to other creators. This feels really right, and I consider it sort of a benevolent form of taxation that goes directly where I want it to go instead of back to centralized institutions to do mysterious things with it. And I also wanted to mention before I sign off, if you've been thinking of becoming a supporter of this podcast, I'm holding a special offer until the end of February where I'm gifting a 30-minute astrology reading to anyone who signs up for the $20 a month tier. Now, these work in tandem really well because patrons on the $20 tier receive a transit report email from me every month. So after your reading, you'll get a monthly check-in from me detailing the transit that is affecting you the most and some suggestions for how to work with that energy. It's been really fun so far. Also, all patrons receive access to my monthly astro forecast post that goes over the major transits for the month, so you can, plan your month according to the astro weather, essentially. I'm a busy little creative bee over here, and I really love all the writing and connecting and creating with you guys every month. Just another form of cosmic collaboration. So if you want to learn more about this special offer, I'm running it until February 28th. So visit patreon.com/liberateyourself to find out more. And thank you for listening to this solo transmission, guys. I hope this finds you doing well on your own path. I've got some great interviews lined up for you with friends new and old, so if you're not already subscribed, be sure to do that in your favorite podcast app. You can also go to tristadedman.com and click podcast to get on the mailing list and have all transmissions delivered straight to your inbox. As always, we're in this together, guys, and take care out there.